very funny line of talk, Mr. Mansell.
I thought we'd understand one another.
I'm easy to understand.
Then you're not as feminine as you look. What's your name?
Calico.
The 1950s were all about glitz, glamour, and movie stars who seemed larger than life. And in Britain, no star shined brighter than Diana Dors. She had the looks, the charm, and a Hollywood-style allure that made her England's answer to Marilyn Monroe. But behind the dazzling smile and platinum blonde curls was a life filled with drama, secrets, and heartbreak. Scandals followed her like a shadow, and what happened to her in the end was something no one could have predicted. Join us as we take at her heartbreaking journey and reveal the shocking truth behind Diana Dors' final years. From a small town to the spotlight. Diana Dors wasn't born into Hollywood glamour. She was a small-town girl from Swindon, England, born on October 23, 1931, to Albert Edward Sidney Fluck and Winifred Maud Mary. Her father was a railway clerk, and her mother was a homemaker. Life was simple, stable, and far from the dazzling world of cinema. But even before she was born, Diana's life was already wrapped in scandal. Her mother had an affair with a lodger, which left a big question mark over who Diana's real father was. It was a secret Winifred carried with her, but that wasn't the only dramatic part of Diana's arrival into the world. Her birth was almost a tragedy. Winifred struggled for nearly a week to deliver her baby, and by the time Diana finally arrived, she had no color in her face. Doctors feared the worst. While they worked to save her mother, a quick-thinking nurse managed to revive baby Diana just in time. The difficult birth left no lasting issues, but it seemed to foreshadow the rocky road ahead. Even as a child, Diana had a certain charm. Her mother made sure she dressed in the best clothes and attended dance lessons. But her real love was the cinema. She was captivated by screen sirens like Jean Harlow and Lana Turner, women who exuded confidence and beauty. That's what she wanted, to be a star. Her school years, however, were less glamorous. Diana attended Selwood House, a private school run by two strict sisters, Daisy and Ruth. But her heart wasn't in academics. She dreamed of fame, and luckily her mother supported that dream. As long as Diana could count the money she earned, school wasn't a priority, a star on the rise. Diana may not have been interested in school, but she had a talent that set her apart, her voice. Her elocution lessons helped her develop a mature, seductive tone far beyond her years. It was this voice that would later open doors for her in the entertainment industry. But Diana had something else working in her favor: her looks. She was an early bloomer. By her early teens, she had already developed a figure that made her look much older than she really was. To enhance this, she lightened her dark brown hair to a deep blonde and mastered the art of makeup. At just 13, she entered a beauty contest for Soldier magazine, hoping to become a pin-up model. But there was one problem. She wasn't old enough, not one to let a technicality stop her. Diana lied about her age, claiming to be 17. Wearing a red and white swimsuit, she posed for the contest and managed to place third. It was a small win, but an important one. She realized something crucial: she could manipulate the system. From then on, lying about her age became her secret weapon. This trick helped her land more modeling gigs and even local theater roles. But Diana knew she needed formal training to truly make it in the business. Once again, she bent the truth. At just 14, she managed to get accepted into the prestigious London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, LAMDA, becoming the youngest student there. She studied everything from Shakespeare to fencing, all while keeping her real age a secret. But Diana wasn't just a pretty face. She excelled in her studies, earning a silver medal with honors for her Shakespeare performances. She even won the London Films Cup, awarded to the girl most likely to succeed in films. And succeed she did. One day, casting director Eric Lapine Smith took notice of her, and Diana's life changed forever. The birth of a blonde bombshell. At just 15, Diana landed her first film role in The Shop at Sly Corner, playing a promiscuous woman. Of course, she had to keep her age under wraps. To calm her nerves before her scene, she even had a drink, something quite shocking for a teenager. But it worked. She delivered her performance flawlessly, earning a salary of £24. However, there was one thing holding her back: her name. Diana Fluck wasn't exactly Hollywood material, and her mother knew it. There was also the risk of an embarrassing mishap if her surname was ever misspelled in big lights. So, her mother suggested using Dors, the maiden name of Diana's grandmother. And just like that, Diana Fluck became Diana Dors. With her new name, Diana needed to establish herself further. She took up modeling jobs to support herself in London, but some of these jobs were more risque than others. The London Camera Club paid her a good sum, £1 per hour, but the work involved nude modeling. The issue was that Diana was still underage, but that didn't stop her. With her parents' blessing, she went ahead with it and never looked back. Modeling paid well, but she knew that her true goal was to be on the big screen. To refine her image, she attended the Rank Charm School, a special training program for aspiring actors. There, she was taught how to walk, talk, and behave like a star. Diana hated it, but it worked. Soon she was getting publicity, and people started calling her the Body, a nickname that would follow her for years. And as Diana's fame grew, so did the names people gave her. The press loved to compare her to Marilyn Monroe, dubbing her England's Marilyn. But she had plenty of other nicknames too: the Siren of Swindon, the Hurricane in Mink, and of course, the Blonde Bombshell. Her striking blonde hair, curvy figure, and sultry voice made her an irresistible presence on screen. England's Marilyn Monroe, Diana Dors had everything: beauty, confidence, and a talent for creating headlines. But there was one thing she didn't have: freedom from comparison. The media loved to pit her against Hollywood's biggest blonde bombshell, Marilyn Monroe. The two shared striking similarities: platinum blonde hair, curvy figures, and a sultry on-screen presence. When The Asphalt Jungle premiered in the UK, a journalist remarked, "How much like our Diana Dors she is." The comparison stuck, whether Diana liked it or not. But the similarities didn't end at looks. Like Marilyn, Diana had a knack for choosing daring roles. However, those roles often led to trouble. In the early 1950s, American censors took issue with one of her films, Lady Godiva Rides Again. The problem was that she showed her navel, which was a scandalous move at the time. The film was temporarily banned in the US, and Diana learned firsthand how strict Hollywood could be. In another film, My Wife's Lodger, Diana had to film the same scene twice, once with her stomach exposed for the UK and once with a more modest outfit for the American version. It was frustrating, but Diana wasn't one to let rules stop her. She was determined to make it big. And after playing small roles in films, Diana finally got her first big break: The Rise of a Star and the Price of Fame. She landed the lead role in Diamond City, playing a saloon owner in 1870s South Africa. It was a dream come true, but there was one problem. The movie flopped. It barely made a splash at the box office, and Diana had to face the reality that success wouldn't come easy. Her love life, however, was far more eventful. After filming Diamond City, Diana started dating Michael Caborn Waterfield, a businessman with a less-than-clean reputation. He later became famous for opening Ann Summers, an adult store chain, but back then his business dealings were shady. One of his schemes even landed him in jail for 2 weeks. While Michael sat behind bars, Diana met someone new, Dennis Hamilton. Their love story moved fast, too fast. Dennis knew exactly how to win her over. He flirted with confidence, sent her flowers every day, and made her feel like the most important woman in the world. Within 5 weeks, he convinced her to marry him. Diana, blinded by romance, said yes. But there was one person who wasn't ready to let her go: Michael. Still bitter about their breakup, he tried to sabotage the wedding by reporting a fake signature on the registry. His plan failed, but the drama didn't stop there. On the wedding day, there was another problem: money. The couple was broke, so guests had to pay for their own meals at the reception. To make matters worse, Dennis tipped off the press, turning their intimate wedding into a media circus. Diana wanted love, but Dennis wanted headlines. It didn't take long for Diana to realize that Dennis wasn't just a husband. He was a businessman, and she was his product. terrible love life and career. He controlled her every move, pushing her into high-paying roles that boosted her public image instead of ones that could establish her as a serious actress. At one point, Laurence Olivier offered Diana a role in The Beggar's Opera, a golden opportunity for any actress. But Dennis stepped in, convincing her to turn it down. He only wanted what made them money and kept them in the spotlight. But that was just the beginning of his influence. Behind closed doors, he made even darker decisions for Diana's career. According to biographers and friends, he arranged meetings between Diana and powerful producers and actors, making sure she always stayed in the public eye. In Hollywood, they called it the casting couch. Dennis saw it as just another way to get ahead. To further boost Diana's image, he came up with yet another publicity stunt. He bought her a Rolls-Royce, making her the youngest registered owner of one at just 20 years old. It was all for show. Diana didn't even know how to drive. He put down their old car as a deposit and promised to pay the rest in installments. If you wanted to be a star, you had to play the part. And Dennis made sure Diana played it well. Scandal, betrayal, and a Hollywood dream that crashed. Diana's public image wasn't just about movies anymore, it was about being the ultimate sex symbol. When 3D photography became popular, Dennis saw an opportunity. He released books filled with seductive pictures of Diana. One of them, Diana Dors 3D, the ultimate British sex symbol, even came with red and green 3D glasses. Another book, London Models, featured even more daring images, sparking controversy. Diana faced serious charges, but the court ruled in her favor. The scandal only made her more famous. With her name everywhere, Diana set her sights on Hollywood. She signed a 3-picture deal with RKO in 1956, hoping to finally break into the American film industry. But things didn't go as planned. During a party at a friend's house, Diana and Dennis got into an embarrassing altercation. Someone pushed Dennis into the pool, and in retaliation, he attacked a photographer. The bad press that followed ruined her chances in Hollywood. The industry didn't want that kind of drama. And just like that, her American dream slipped away. As if that wasn't enough, her marriage was falling apart too. Dennis, who once showered her with gifts and affection, had turned into a controlling monster. Diana finally had enough. She decided to leave him, but Dennis wasn't about to let go so easily. Speaking of which, during their separation, Dennis forced her to sign over most of her assets, at gunpoint. The man who once promised her the world had now stolen everything from her. Broke and desperate, Diana had to find a way to survive. But with everything she had been through, she was no longer the same bright-eyed girl who once dreamed of being a star. A star. Desperate for a comeback, Diana Dors had seen the highs of fame and the depths of scandal, but by the late 1950s, she was in trouble. Her career was fading, her finances were in ruins, and she needed money, fast. With no major movie roles coming her way, she turned to a different kind of entertainment, cabaret. She started the Diana Dors Show, a live singing tour managed by Joe Collins, the father of actresses Jackie and Joan Collins. It was a surprising move, but Diana had natural stage presence. Her sultry voice and ability to engage with an audience made the show a hit. It wasn't just a career boost, it also introduced her to comedian Richard Dawson, the man who would become her second husband. For a while, things seemed to be looking up. Diana was working, she was in love, and she had a fresh start. But her past wasn't finished with her just yet. Her first husband, Dennis Hamilton, suddenly died, and because they hadn't finalized their divorce properly, Diana was left dealing with the financial mess he had created. As if that wasn't enough, the tax authorities came knocking. She owed a huge amount in unpaid taxes, and her financial troubles kept piling up. Then came another heartbreak. Her marriage to Richard Dawson, which had started with such promise, ended in disaster. When they divorced, she not only lost her husband but also custody of their 2 sons. On top of that, she had to give up their family home in America to settle her debts. For the second time in her life, Diana had hit rock bottom. Diana had lost almost everything, her career, her money, and even her children. But she wasn't the type to stay down for long. She fought back. a fighter who refused to give up. When her contract with RKO was suddenly terminated, she refused to let them get away with it. She took legal action, proving that she was ready to stand up for herself. She also tried investing in other business ventures, including a shampoo factory. That idea didn't last long, but she wasn't ready to walk away from the spotlight just yet. The success of her cabaret show gave her another chance. British television producers took notice, and soon she had her own TV show, The Diana Dors Show. Richard Dawson, her ex-husband, was even the main scriptwriter. The variety comedy show became a hit and ran from 1959 to 1961. That success helped her revive her acting career. She took on more serious roles, proving that she was more than just a blonde bombshell. One of her best performances was in Yield to the Night, where she played a murderess. The film was even screened at the 1956 Cannes Film Festival, and critics praised her transformation. But despite these victories, Diana struggled to maintain her career. She had lost control of her image early on, and her choices in film roles hurt her reputation. She tried making a Hollywood comeback in the 1970s, appearing in adult comedies like The Amorous Milkman and Three for All. She also starred in the British sitcom Queenie's Castle and even became a game show regular on Celebrity Squares. But it wasn't just her work that kept her in the headlines. Diana was now more famous for her outrageous lifestyle than for her talent. The double life of Diana Dors, scandal and secrets. Diana Dors had always been known for her glamour, but she also had a wild side. She loved the finer things: fast cars, luxury clothes, and extravagant parties. One of her many nicknames was the Hurricane in Mink, a reference to her love for expensive fur coats. She was never afraid of publicity stunts. In 1955, she showed up at the Venice Film Festival wearing a fur bikini made of rabbit fur, not mink, while riding a gondola. The stunt made headlines worldwide. Another time, she tried to claim one of her mink coats as a tax deduction. The British Parliament even discussed it, but those were tame compared to the real rumors surrounding her. Diana became infamous for throwing wild, exclusive parties at her home. These weren't just any Hollywood gatherings. They were legendary for their secrecy and scandal. According to reports, celebrities, socialites, and young aspiring actresses attended, and many of these parties involved far more than just dancing and drinks. One of Diana's sons later claimed that she had hidden cameras placed around the house. Some guests had no idea they were being filmed, and Diana allegedly kept a private collection of these tapes. Some people even suggested that these recordings could have been used for blackmail. Whether the stories were true or not, the parties only added to her reputation. Diana herself didn't shy away from discussing the more risque parts of her life. She turned her experiences into books, starting with Swinging Doors in 1960. Later, she wrote a series of memoirs, revealing behind-the-scenes gossip about famous stars like Paul Newman and Sophia Loren. Her other books were even more scandalous. One, titled A to Z of Men, was a humorous look at how men and women viewed each other. Another was so explicit that it made 50 Shades of Grey seem tame. The fact that she was a devout Catholic at the same time made it all the more ironic. Despite her rocky past with men, Diana never gave up on love. Love, loss, and the final mystery. She married for the third time in 1968, this time to actor Alan Lake. They stayed together until the very end, but their relationship was far from perfect. Alan struggled with alcohol and even spent time in jail after getting into a fight outside a pub. Diana's life was full of heartbreak, but her greatest love was her children. She had 2 sons from her marriage with Richard Dawson and 1 with Alan Lake. But tragedy struck again years after Diana's passing. Her youngest son, Jason, took his own life at the age of 50. Speaking of which, Diana's final years were filled with illness and struggle. She battled ovarian cancer, survived meningitis, and developed a thyroid problem that caused her to gain weight. But even then, she found a way to make money. She co-wrote a diet book, released an exercise video, and even had a segment on ITV's morning show, giving diet and life advice. She passed away on May 4, 1984, at just 52 years old. But her story didn't end there. 5 months later, her husband Alan Lake took his own life. He had always been devastated by her death, but his suicide left behind an even bigger mystery. What happened to Diana Dors' secret fortune? Rumors swirled that she had hidden around £2 million in banks across Europe. Before her death, she supposedly left behind a code that would reveal the location of the money. She gave half of the code to her son Mark and the other half to Alan. But after Alan died, his half of the code was lost forever. Mark spent years trying to crack the mystery. He even consulted forensic scientists and cryptologists. The code appeared to be a medieval cipher, similar to those used by the Vatican. But even with advanced technology, no one has been able to find the missing fortune. Some believe it was all a myth. Others think the money is still out there, waiting to be found. Diana Dors had spent her entire life surrounded by secrets, scandals, and larger-than-life stories. Even in death, she left behind one final mystery, one that may never be solved. Do you think Diana Dors' hidden fortune is real? Or was it just another glamorous Hollywood myth? Share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more such stories.